He just farted in the street, and he got his dick broken with a shot. The next day he didn't like it. He farted again. Then he went to see God with a smile on his face, but God didn't seem interested in him. So he went back to the day he woke up. Every time he wakes up, a machete slashes at his bedside. The man doesn't take his time, lowers his head, sitting up, bend over, stand up, bend over again. The whole process was very smooth. He did not even look at the killer. Then the man used his shirt as a weapon. The killer was powerless to fight back. In the 6 seconds it took for the killer to stand up, he even made the coffee, took a sip, and then threw the rest in the killer's face. And then, a helicopter gunship appeared outside the window. 5 seconds later, another killer turns around. He raises a heavy machine gun and fires at the man. The hero was prepared, hiding behind a pillar. The first round of shooting directly shot the first killer into a sieve. 8 seconds later, Gatling overheats and goes into cooldown. The man took the opportunity to come out from behind the pillar, throwing a flying knife. Accurate headshot. Next, Gatling goes out of control. The man follows the ballistic trajectory to the right, then sit helplessly on the ground. Even after being reborn 139 times, he still doesn't understand why he's being chased and killed. 8 seconds later, the plane went out of control and crashed into the house. 13 seconds later, the propeller would fall on his left-hand side, and the plane would explode in 18 seconds. The man rushes to put on his clothes, and leaps down from the building, landed right on the garbage truck that passed by. 22 times before that, he had failed to land on a garbage truck. Once he was even run over by a truck. And then, the man walked to the curb, carried the driver out of the car, and the man shouted every time, and then even the sunglasses didn't stay on. On the way to the car, there will be a third group of killers rushing towards him. Not only them. In the same day, the man had at least 7 waves of assassinations. Twice by a dwarf, 3 times by a man who looked like him, 8 times by a dark-haired woman. All the other assassins men successfully killed back, but only the brunette. She was a ghost. Each time she appeared in an unexpected position, and then she kills the man with a single stab. It was her ex-wife who dragged herself into the cycle of death, but now that she's been lost, the man decided to take advantage of the infinite opportunity to start over, to make up for his son. Father and son are having a great time. When they walked out of the game room satisfied, the man was surprised to find the time had actually come to 12:50. He understood. It's the tracker. The underground game hall has a bad signal. The killer was 3 minutes late in finding him. The man had just figured it out. The killers were already surrounding them. He saw care and love in his son's eyes. This time he was reborn. He finally found a reason to continue living. The 146th resurrection. The man pinned the killers down, forced to ask for the location of the tracker, but the killers are highly trained. It's too hard to get them to tell the truth. With no choice, he found a good friend in the security company. He learned that teeth are the best place to install a locator. Then the man remembered. A few days ago he just had a tooth implant. He pulled out his own teeth. Inside was actually a miniature locator. Experts concluded someone paid a lot of money to kill him, and then the killer broke into the house. But the hero doesn't care, because he was caught in a time loop, and comes back to life again. The man uses the tracker as bait. One by one, he kills them back. He easily kills all the killers who come after him. He called his handler, "Wait there and die." Then he drove his sports car. He went straight to his ex-wife's company. Outside the fence, he stepped on the gas. Resurrected for the 146th time. With the previous lesson learned, the man chose to fly into the park. Inside there are dozens of heavily armed guards. Luckily, the hero was prepared, using homemade bombs to kill all the guards. Before he could rejoice, the man found the head of security standing right next to him. "It's okay. Come again." 147th resurrection. After killing the killer who looked like him, disguises himself. He uses his ID card to infiltrate the company, but as soon as he got on the elevator, he encountered a strong guard. When he swipes his ID card on the elevator, but he didn't have access. Then he was killed by a guard on the side. The 148th resurrection. The hero decided to kill the guard first, but he didn't expect that as soon as he stepped out of the elevator, there were dozens of guns pointing at him. The hero hurriedly raised his gun and pointed it at himself. To all present were dumbfounded. The 149th resurrection. He realized there was surveillance in the elevator. As soon as the door was opened, he was shot into a sieve. 150th resurrection. The man simply disguised as a guard. He finally reached the lobby. He found the dark-haired woman waiting for him. The man raised the pistol in his hand, but he was out of bullets. He consciously tried to escape. He was stabbed to death with a sword. 151 resurrection. This time the gun can be considered not to drag the leg, but the black-haired woman dodged all the bullets. Another knife cut off the man's head. 152 resurrection. The hero updated his weaponry with a submachine gun towards the black-haired woman. Crazy shooting. The result still did not change. 153 times, 154th time, 155 times, until the 170 times. The result still hasn't changed. No matter how good his weapon upgrades were, he couldn't finish the black-haired woman. He finally understood. He couldn't beat her with a gun. In order to defeat her, the man visited a master swordsman from the east and begged him to take him as a student. At first, the two of them used fists and kicks as swords. The man was defeated without a fight. When the day of study is over, then the cycle starts all over again. This time, they came back to life. The two began to use the wooden sword sparring. The result was still defeated, time and again. they were reborn. Let the man understand the true meaning of swordplay. The frivolous Aura also became calm and steady as he progressed by leaps and bounds, finally able to defeat the master in 7 moves. Then, the man pushed open the door of the hall again. As always, the dark-haired woman had been waiting for him for a long time. The man took off his long sword from the wall. The men took their positions. The black-haired woman is the first to attack. A sword thrust, attempting to overwhelm him with the force of the sword. But the man deflected the attack very easily. He also took the opportunity to cut off the brunette's hair. The black-haired woman was angry and annoyed. The sword was already strong and fierce. The man holds the sword with one hand. One by one, he fights. He added a touch of elegance to the battle between you and me. Then the man deliberately showed a flaw. To lure the black-haired woman to grab the sword, he took the opportunity to seize the sword of the brunette. The woman was killed. At this time the mastermind behind the big boss finally showed up. The big boss tried to resist, but he was no match for the man. He was pierced by a sharp sword in the palm of his hand. The pain made him finally understand why the man is so powerful. But not only did he send his killers after him, he also sent someone to kill his son. Hearing this, the man panicked. He killed the big boss with a knife. He only looked at the breakfast. He was shot through the chest with a steel cable. The killer saluted him politely. The next second he started the pickup truck and towed him away, until the man's ass was covered in sparks. And then the next thing you know, the killer appeared in the same position, shot through by the dead hero with an arrow. The man's infinitely resurrected life is like a game archive. He rushes to his son's place. Instead, he saw his son's body in a pool of blood. The man's pain is unbearable. In so many infinite cycles, how many times has his son died because of him? And just then the machine overloaded, triggered an earth-shattering explosion. The man is reborn again, although his body was in peak condition, but his mind was ravaged. No matter how much he resisted, he could not escape his destiny. As a father, he couldn't even save his own son. It was the last straw that broke the camel's back, lying in bed, letting the first killer slash himself to death, over and over again. After an unknown number of rebirths, he finally came to his senses. He decided to defy fate again. This time, he fought for time. He shot the first killer as fast as he could, jumped into the helicopter, forced the driver directly to the company building, successfully landed at 7:10, killed all the killers with his Gatling at 7:12, successfully arrived at the lab before 7:24, rescued his ex-wife. The couple embraced each other and cried. The pain and hardship behind this, only the man himself knows. And now, the spindle of the time machine is about to go out of control. It will destroy the whole world. Now the only way is for the man in the time machine to become one. But what will happen to him after that? No one knows for sure. But he still decided to go into the device, for the sake of his loved ones. Even if it costs him everything, he would not hesitate to do so.